Everybody, it's Chad with Nobody Else's Auto. It is Sunday evening, 7 o'clock. It's time for Sunday night live chat. We are live on both formats, both Facebook and YouTube again tonight. So we'll give everybody a few seconds to get their notifications and get rolling here shortly. We've already got a few people on with on YouTube, so that's great. Facebook is now connected. We will see if it's going to cooperate tonight. It's been a little bit of a challenge, but since we've got the internet speed cranked up, it appears as though it is getting a little bit better. I've still been getting error messages, but it doesn't seem to be dropping people nearly as badly as it usually does. So we'll give everybody a few seconds here and get rolling here shortly. We've got a few people getting on Facebook now. Chris in Ohio's on with us. And we'll get rolling here in just a second. Don't see any comments on YouTube as of yet. So still getting my error messages on Facebook, though, so we'll see what that's going to entail, and hopefully it will cooperate yet tonight. So anyway, what's been going on? A lot of things been going on as usual. I don't stop very often, so seems like there's always something going on. Big thing we had going on this weekend, we had a big race out at the SRCA drag strip. The Midwest Drag Racing Series was in town this weekend, and we had a great time out there. Gail from Des Moines is on. Glad you made it. No comments feeding on YouTube. There we go. William's on us. Like usually we've got a few people popping up on YouTube, but William caught us there, and we are working there as well. So at this point, everything seems to be cooperating for now. Chris is on a 67 Chevelle fan shroud. Depends on which one you needed. I don't have any 67s. I've got one 66 that might be a possibility. It just depends on which one you need. Jerry from New Mexico's on. Lee from New York's on. Old School made it. David W. made it. Lots of people jumping on with us. So, Old School did get his can. Good. Glad it made it. So that one's there safely. Lance is on with us. So good crowd jumping on tonight. Chris is on. Glad all you guys made it back. It still amazes me that you do. But week after week, you guys come back. We have a great time. Chris, is that for the Chevelle parts? Let me scroll up. Oh, yeah, I don't have anything for a big block on that, Chris. So anyway, was out at the track quite a bit this weekend. Obviously helping them with a lot of digital media, shooting a lot of video clips, doing some Facebook posting, things like that. So I stayed plenty busy out there. Kevin's on with us. Old School needs R12. I don't have any R12. I'm sure there's still a little bit of it out there, but I don't have any of it laying around that I know of. So, what that boils down to is I didn't get anything else done. It was kind of crazy. Yeah, Lee likes the valve cover. That is a cool valve cover. I've actually been wanting to show you guys that one for a really long time. I've had that back there with my valve covers. The problem was I was having trouble figuring out how to hang it because the way it mounted on the car was in these two big holes where it, went down through the middle. Kevin's on in Houston. Glad you made it. So it was really hard to figure out how to hang it. Well, I had two screws down here below from a week or two ago, so I was able to sit it on that and get a screw in the top of it since there really isn't any good holes around the edges to screw it in. But did manage to get it up. Hot Rod Shop's on with us. Glad you got here. Daniel in Wichita does have some R12. You're on Facebook, though, so Old School, you might check the Facebook feed and look for Daniel. Kevin's on from Pratt. Glad Kevin made it tonight. Our friend Kevin down in Pratt. But the Turnpike Cruiser valve cover, super cool piece. Late 50s. This is a separate cast, I believe, aluminum piece that is mounted to the top of the valve cover. So it's awesome. I don't know if you guys can tell, it's got almost like an engine turning texture back here in the background with the Turnpike Cruiser, basically cast into it. So it's a super cool piece. Let's see. Curtis from Vegas is on. Old School's not on Facebook. So, but yeah, that's a neat piece. I've had it back there I've had it for several years. It's one I really wanted to show you guys. I was just trying to figure out how to hang it. So obviously I don't want to go poking holes in it just to hang it, to show it, just to set it up for the Sunday night chat deal. But it's different. It's a great piece. It's definitely one of my favorite valve covers. It's super unique, and I'm super happy to have it. Joe's on with us. Glad Joe is here. Make sure that everything is still feeding. Facebook seems to be hanging in there, which is good. So, anyway, I was out at the track a lot. The Midwest Pro Mod Racing, or it used to call it Midwest Pro Mods. Now it's the Midwest Drag Racing Association. Had a great time out there. I've been posting a bunch of stuff on the SRCA Facebook page, and I've also got some stuff to post on their YouTube channel. But good show, top dragsters, funny cars, and then of course pro mods, which you got to love pro mods. You never know literally what's going to be running next, whether it's a late model Camaro, whether it's a Cuda, whether it's an old mid-year Corvette. There was a 41 Willys coupe out there. Of course, I mean none of these are or anything like the original car. They're all carbon fiber bodies and things like that. But super cool to see so much different stuff pulling up to the line at different times and laying down and running. They were running 8th mile with those really fast cars, which is something I wasn't familiar with. I've never really been around much 8th mile stuff, so I had to learn a little bit about that. My good buddy Scott Palmer was here, though, which was great because I haven't got to hang out with Scott hardly at all this year. So was really excited to see him and hang out with all of his friends, which is always a great time. But like I said, it didn't allow me the time to get everything done I needed to do this weekend, including Sunday Night Live Chat. So I usually build that on Saturday night down here at the shop in the office, and I didn't leave the track till 2:30 this morning. So I wasn't too motivated to come down and get live chat built. So worked on it this afternoon, got some stuff put together. Probably not going to have everything we need in here tonight, but we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So Old School says time to hire someone, but the problem is hiring somebody to train them to do all this. I mean, it wouldn't be worth the effort. Kevin's from Galveston. William, where's Don Don? I haven't seen Don Don in a couple of days, actually. He, I don't know, he must have been out wandering around. A lot of these shop cats, they come and go as the shop doors are open. And I actually have not seen Don Don in a couple of days, so he must be out wandering around somewhere. New Zealand's on with us. Glad New Zealand's on. Glad you made it tonight, Clark. What time is it in New Zealand? I mean, we're obviously 7 o'clock Sunday evening Central Time here in Kansas, but curious about New Zealand. Loch Ness Fox. Oh, yeah. He called me about a 56 Ford truck door, which is a 1-year only door. Unfortunately, the only set that I've got are on a complete truck at this point. So I haven't taken it apart and don't know if somebody may want to build that or not. Yeah. Olsen says Don may be out looking for mice. That's very possible too. So, and like I told you before, he can be kind of temperamental. So if he wants to be in a mood, he probably just went out to hang out by himself and be in a mood for a few days. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure he'll be back around like usual. But like I said, had a great time out there. Be sure to check out the SRCA page for some of the content. Beautiful pro mods. Had a great time. Saw a lot of people. Had a lot of fun. In New Zealand, it is lunchtime over there. So basically noon in New Zealand. So that would be probably noon on Monday, I'm going to guess, since we are Sunday evening here. So Demas from Arkansas is on Facebook. So it looks like Facebook for the most part is still hanging in there. We're going to keep our fingers crossed. So Old School says Car Wizard is selling a 38 Ford and he's in Kansas. I'm not sure who he is in Kansas. That I haven't run into him. I'll have to look him up and see who that is. But anyway, what else has been going on? Obviously, there's always something going on. New article on hotrod.com this week. If you want to check that out on the 49 Chevy 3/4 ton 5-window custom cab pickup that I found last spring. Let's see. Yeah, it is Monday in New Zealand. It's noon Monday in New Zealand. So that clarifies that for us. But the 49 Chevy 3/4 ton 5-window custom cab, super cool truck, perfect patina. Hot Rod did an article on that. So go to hotrod.com. Be sure to check that out. Steve Rupp does a great job with everything I send him. He puts together some great articles. You'll definitely want to check that out. And see what he put together on that truck. It's such a great truck. It has literally about the perfect look for a patina type truck. Kevin, yes, we did have a Toy Tuesday, Kevin. So I'm not sure. Yeah, we did do it regular time. No, we did it at 8 Tuesday night. We did it at 8 because I had a guy here picking up some parts. So we did do Toy Tuesday. We were just running a little late. I didn't make a post that night that we were going to be late because I had a guy out at the yard getting some stuff, and it was a little after 7 before he got out of the yard. So yep, it is up. You can go back to the lives and find that video. It is still up on YouTube. So let's see what else we're missing. Dan's on. Glad Dan made it. Got a few things. This is a couple comments. It's Omega Auto Clinic in Newton. Okay, I haven't run into him before. John from Washington's on with us. Glad you made it, John. And speaking of Hot Rod Magazine, Power Tour starts this week. Nowhere near my area this year, but maybe it's going to be coming to a city near you. Something definitely worth checking out. If you know, Will says we got invaded by Don Don. No, I think that was 2 weeks ago. We got invaded by Don Don. So it wasn't. I think it was a couple weeks ago that Don Don was on Toy Tuesday. But yeah, we did do it. We just did it late. Hot Rod Power Tour this week. If it's anywhere near you, definitely worth checking out. What is the schedule this year? Norwalk, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Champaign, Illinois. That will be running all week. I'm not sure if it started today, or tomorrow. I think it starts tomorrow, but I would imagine there's people rolling in today getting ready for that. So definitely worth checking out. We did part of it in 17. I think so. I can see if I can see my window sticker on my office window. We got a window in the office, so my daughter and I, we always put all this event banners up there, all the Rocky Mountain Race Weeks, Power Tours, things like that. 2017, we did half a Power Tour, Kansas City, then up into Iowa to Des Moines, and then over to Davenport, and then we came home. It's a cool time, though. So many cool rides on that thing. Really, almost to the point where it's so hard to take it all in. There's so much neat stuff. But if, like I said, if it's anywhere near your area, or if you it's going to be driving through your area, by all means, go out and find you a parking lot to sit and watch them go by. Find an overpass and watch them go roll through. It's really cool. There's a ton of neat stuff. We got a couple Kevins on YouTube. So let's see. Eric, 41 to 47 Dodge, running boards, bed, or rear fenders. And there again, that brings up another great point. Which ones? There's multiple sets of running boards for those trucks. There's a couple different sets of rear fenders. So that's why, I always encourage everybody to give me a call so we can go through that on the phone and get all the details about your truck so we know exactly which ones we're talking about. So there's a possibility on some of that stuff. Just depends on exactly which ones you need on that, Eric. But so like I said, be sure to check out Power Tour. If it's going to be coming to an area near you, there'll be a lot of information on hotrod.com. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of cool photo galleries up and definitely worth checking out and keeping an eye on it. So check out the article on the 49 Chevy. It's a great looking pickup. And like I said, working with Stephen Rupp's been great. He does a great job with everything I send him. So I was really happy with that article as well. And then lots of cool Power Tour coverage going to be coming up this week. Something else going on that we touched on a little bit last week that was actually going on last week and that wrapped up with the Monterey auctions. Jim says Flint had the Back to the Bricks in Detroit and Woodward cruise this weekend. Oh wow. That kind of took when I was there. I was actually back when I worked for Chrysler. I always like to hear about the Woodward Dream Cruise because I did make that one year. We were actually in Detroit I don't know if we were in Detroit for meetings or what, but for some reason we had to be in Detroit that week. And it just happened to be the week of the Dream Cruise and didn't even realize it. We were kind of getting on a little bit of a tangent here, but number one made it. Glad you got in tonight. But back when I worked for Chrysler, we had to go up there for meetings or something, and we were going somewhere. I started seeing a bunch of cool hot rods driving around, and I had heard about the Dream Cruise. So I thought, well, shoot, I wonder if this what this thing is. Well, I got back to the hotel and looked it up, and sure as the world, it was that week. So me and some of my coworkers actually went down there a few evenings, like on Wednesday and Thursday night before we had to fly home on Friday to checked it all out, hung out with a lot of people, met a lot of great people. And that was the only time I've ever been to the Woodward Dream Cruise. But it always makes me happy because I had a great time the few nights I did get to go down there and hang out. And had a good time. So yeah, Kevin likes Detroit too. So yeah, and like I said, it was and like I said, I wasn't even there on the weekend. Just what I saw because we had to fly home. Just what I saw like on Wednesday and Thursday night was crazy, the amount of cars that were down there. So thanks for bringing that up, Jim. I always like to think back about that because that was a good time and it was an impressive deal. But anyway, we were talking about the Monterey auctions a little bit last weekend. And once again, just like what we've been seeing all year, even the end of last year, once they started having auctions again, and then rolling into this year, the market is strong. And everything's been good. Obviously, there are with Pebble Beach and stuff, there are a handful of auctions out there that week, and I believe Pebble Beach is the concours that these are associated with. I'm not 100% sure, but they call them the Monterey auction. Sotheby's, Mecum, Gooding. Staggering amount of dollars. And granted, this is, a lot of stuff that most people aren't that familiar with. These are a lot of high end, Ferraris, things like that. But it's still an indicator of where the market is the market's still super strong on the high dollar stuff too. We know it's been good on everything else. And it's been crazy with what says maybe Mono way overpriced. And that is, and like I said, these are numbers and cars that, a lot of people can't even dream about. But the total for the auctions they had, like I said, there are a handful of them, but you add them all together, and they totaled at $351 million last week in sales. So, I mean, obviously, big ticket cars, especially when you look at Sotheby's. Sotheby's results. And I found some of this on Haggerty's Facebook page. They're really good about keeping up on a lot of this stuff. Sotheby's sold 147 cars. Okay. Good, solid auction, But the total for those 147 cars was $149 million. They averaged over $1 million per car that rolled across the block. Now, not every single one of them, did that. But, because I think there was one car that brought $9 million, but their average was over $1 million per car. So, that's kind of bonkers to think about that many cars of that caliber in that type of a setting. So it was kind of crazy to look at those kind of numbers, and it's, Mecum had a very solid sale, which we talked about last week, and we haven't looked at some of the results. And we even looked at some of the results of their no sales. Some of that stuff was in the millions and no sale. And Mecum still did 56.7 million that week. So, like I said, crazy numbers, stuff that a lot of your normal people can't even really think about. But it is neat to see it. It is part of the hobby. It is still a gauge for the hobby. If the bottom falls out of those cars, the bottom's probably going to fall out of some of the other stuff. If they stay strong, it's probably going to stay strong across the board. They do reflect off of each other. It is a very, very big hobby, and it does encompass a very wide selection of people, budgets, and interests. However, that's what makes the hobby interesting. Not everybody wants the exact same car, and that's what you got to take into consideration. I'm obviously I'm not going to go there. Would I like to see some of that stuff? Absolutely, because it's knowledge. It's more information to learn. So I do like that stuff just because I can learn more about it. So some comments popping up here that are starting to get a little away from me. Yeah, Bugatti with a price tag of 18 million. Yeah, that's what this stuff is doing. Old School says, I wonder what Bring a Trailer makes. I don't know what the fees are on Bring a Trailer. I've never looked. I see some stuff pop up that people share from there. But I've never really studied the site as far as what their fees are or things like that. So Facebook has not been feeding any comments. If you are on Facebook and have been commenting, I have not. It is not feeding anything at all right now. So like I said, it's still an indicator of what the market is doing. It still reflects on the whole market, and it is neat stuff. A lot of it is one-off, but that's the cool part about it. If you ever have an opportunity to go to those places and to see those cars and study those cars and learn about them. So that's what I like about it. Am I going to ever go spend that kind of money on a car? I don't see how in the world I ever could, but it's still cool. It's still part of the hobby, and it's still more stuff you can learn and know about. Number one, Yeah. Yeah. Imagine being the one to have the auction and brag that every your average was over 1 million. Yeah. That was amazing to sell 147 cars and your average is 149 million. So neat stuff, different stuff, always interesting to learn about it. So we're going to have another little history lesson tonight. And this popped up somewhere. I don't even know where I saw it, but it was really interesting. And like I said, we try to catch different things here. We obviously always talk about current events, just like Power Tour, just like, the auctions, things like that. This popped up. I don't even know where I saw it. It's on some website or something, but it was an interesting article. So I went ahead and printed it off and I was going to share it with you guys real quick, just in case you ever run across a 1939 Buick. It doesn't even say what the website was on this thing that I printed off, so I'm not even sure. It just says posted by MCG. A historic GM blunder, the 1939 short frame Buicks. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I've never heard of a short frame Buick. So what I saw was like, went ahead and looked at it and thought it was kind of interesting. I thought about you guys. I thought, well, we can mix a little bit of a history lesson in here because we do a little bit of that sometimes too, because we're just here to talk about old cars in general, things like that. So, okay, the left front fender for a 58 Chevy pickup. I've got one left that is fixable. It's not perfect, but I do have one left that needs one more in stock. I've got actually one pair left in stock, a left and a right. They both need a little work, but they are fixable. The 58, 59 Chevy pickup fender is so hard to find. I shipped the other set I had last week, but I do have one pair left. So, but the 39 short frame Buick, and we think about the bumbles in the automotive world we see today, the Takata airbag recall, things like that. This goes back to 1939. So it wasn't, this stuff that we see today and deal with today isn't new, but this was kind of weird. They called them a short frame Buick, and the chassis basically ended at the rear axle. No frame beyond the rear axle. So it was almost like it had been chopped off with a hacksaw. And you think about it, well, you've still got the overhang of the body, you've still got a rear bumper, things like that. Well, so what it came down was the holders of the purse strings, so to speak, decided that cost reductions were in order, and Buick engineers determined that this radical frame redesign was the answer. They decided that the car's rear body structure was strong enough and rigid enough and to support the weight of the bumper, the weight of things you put in the trunk, withstand bumps, things like that. So, so what they did is they obviously tried it, tested it. They said it would work and it would save money. So that's what they did. However, once they started building them and putting them out in customers' hands, it proved to be a mistake due to collapsing floors, buckling body panels. So this was not, this stuff we hear about today is definitely not new. And they actually had a picture of it I'm going to show you. You can kind of see right there. They basically it off right behind the axle. And it says it seemed foolish for for GM or for Buick being second in the pecking order to Cadillac to do it to their luxury car, but they did it. It did not work. And so what they had to do was, just like on a recall today, they had to send out repair kits to the dealers. Each kit included a pair of reinforced frame rails stamped from angle stock that extended from the rear cross member to the rear bumper, and it bolted into place. So about half of the 39 Buicks were built this way, and they seem to work. It said they found some cars today that still use them and they're still fine. But it's kind of interesting. I don't have any 39 Buicks in stock right now, but I kind of wish I did because I want to go check that out and see. So, interesting little history information. The recalls, the TSBs, the things that we see today are nothing new to the industry. Thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit that popped up. So, next time you guys see a 39 Buick, peer up underneath it and see if it's had the rear frame section added to it. So, kind of an interesting little tidbit of information. Thought it was neat. Thought it was a neat, quick little share for tonight. So I hope you guys thought that was kind of cool too. What else do we got going on here? Yeah, number one says he likes the sound of that crazy frame for like a speedster build. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, Kevin says, imagine what getting insurance would be. After a few rear end collisions and took out the whole back part of the car. William says, what kind of springs? Well, let's look at this picture and see if we can see. No, it actually had coils. If we look at the picture here, we can see coil springs. So that's how they did it. They were regular coils right there at the back part of the frame. Great question, William. Glad you brought that up because somebody else was probably wondering the same thing. Jeff, do I have any 41 to 46 GM cabs I'm cutting up for parts? I've got a lot of 41 to 46 GM cabs. Just depends on what you need and things like that. So, but anyway, that being said, who's ready for tonight's magazine? Got a mixture there with a little history, a little current events as far as what's going on. And now we'll get into tonight's magazine. We're going to go back to a motor trend, and we're going to go back up into the 70s a little bit. We're going to go to the 1979 Motor Trend Car of the Year issue from February of 1979. That's right. Well, Mag Times is old school. Number one says he'll take one when I find it. Was that a U.S. only option? The way I read the article on those frames is it was standard production for the entire first production run of the 39 Buick, the way I read that article. So, I would assume basically all of them did. Not sure about, the Canadian built cars, but the way I read it, it was across the board. That's how they did it. So, no, it wasn't Cordoba. So, let's go ahead and start checking this one out. And as always, when we get into the Motor Trend issues, Vic's on from Iowa. Bruno says Motor Trend actually used to sponsor NASCAR races as well. But we're going to get into this magazine, and we're going to get into what one of the things we always start with when we get into a Motor Trend, the Detroit Report. These are always so great. I always try to catch something on the Detroit Report because we are literally taking a look back in time with 2020 hindsight as to what happened, what this magazine was reporting at that time versus what we know now in today's world 40 years later. Obviously, if you caught the picture real quick, I'll hold it up a little closer. The Citation, the Chevy Citation, Classic Ride Society is checking in with us. Just did the Springfield swap meet. And unfortunately, I didn't this year. I haven't missed that one in 5 or 6 years. Just was not in the cards this year. Multiple reasons. Obviously, I had this big race I had to help with. I don't need any more inventory. I've been buying cars so crazy this year that I need to pick up some of the cars I've been buying. So now I really wish I'd have gone there. Since you guys were there, Classic Ride Site. I know my buddy Robert with the Hubcaps was there. Hubcap Collectors of the U.S. on Facebook. I know Robert was there this weekend. So glad it worked out for you, Classic Ride Site. I wish I could have been there. And usually I am, just it wasn't in the cards this year. Billy from Texas is on. But back to the Detroit Report. It says in the December issue of Motor Trend, we gave you a taste of Pontiac's X-Body, which was the Phoenix. This month it's going to be Chevrolet's turn. The Chevy X will be called the Citation. And we all, remember some of those. Obviously, number one does because he's got a big heart when I said X-Body. So I actually do not have any of them in the yard at all. I've got a few pieces off the Citation I stripped out years ago. That's it. So don't have any of those things. They are neat little cars. I believe the Citation they made an X11 Citation, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell me if I'm right or correct me on that. Number one, which is a really sporty Citation. But so the Citation and the others will found their front ends on a powertrain cradle, which will serve as a mounting base to secure the powertrain and front suspension. It's a bolt-on unit mounted in such a way to isolate the rest of the vehicle from vibration, which obviously is a subframe assembly on a unibody, which at the time there were some out there, but there was still probably more full frame than there were unibody at that point. As in the Phoenix, the engine will be cross-mounted and will run through a 4-speed overdrive or a wide ratio 3-speed automatic transmission. Engines for the Citation number only 2. One is the current 4-cylinder. The other is Chevy's yet to be released V6, which will displace 173 cubic inches. Anticipated weight of the Citation is 2,600 to 2,700 pounds. and about the same length as a Vega. So, Classic Ride Society said he hit pick and pull, found a 78 Skylark there. And that's true. Number one says, who wants a car named after a speeding ticket? That's another good point. So, Frank's on with us. Mike's on with us. Mike says Oklahoma City GM plant was where they produced the Citation. The very first one off the line used to be on display in the Made in Oklahoma building at the State Fair. Let's see. Oh, number one, the X11. The X11 was supposed to be a sporty version, but after the front suspension recall, they were still terrible. So apparently the X11 was a good plan, poor execution on that. But anyway, there's the Citation report, the X body report for the Detroit report. Another part of the Detroit report that they had in this issue that I found very interesting. And in fact, being Motor Trend, obviously Motor Trend is looking at new cars for that era. When I flipped to the second page of the Detroit report, I saw that. It's like, well, that's kind of odd. That's not typically what we find in Motor Trend. We like the Motor Trends today because what we're looking at is now old cars. I flipped the page and found it. So I looked at it, and I believe where this was going were these Shea replicas. It does not call them Shea replicas in this article. However, I believe that is what these are. Maybe sometime late in April or early May, your local Ford dealer may have one of these for you to touch, and that's about all you'll be able to do with it, it says. The fiberglass replicas are a product of the Model A and Model T Motor Car Reproduction Corporation in Detroit, Michigan, and is meant to be a showroom traffic builder for dealers. Retail price will run anywhere from $49.50 to $59.50, which was, pretty big money. I mean, that was just as much as a new car back in the day. And if not more so, realistically, but that was right in line with like a regular new car you could drive. So they were pretty pricey. The base price pays for a vehicle equipped with a 2.3 liter Ford engine, a 4-speed transmission, front disc, rear drum brakes, Fairmont steering column, and Model A steering wheel, rack and pinion steering, coil leaf suspension, and all environmental controls. The Model A employs a full space frame adapted to the underside of the fiberglass body and will be available with exciting options like color choice, radiator ornament, wind wings, cowl lights, radio, and heater, just like yesteryear. So when this article was written, they talked to the company, and as of this writing in 1979, in February of 1979, so probably end of 78, only one vehicle had been produced. I do believe that this is what we know today as the Shea replicas. If you're not familiar with the Shea replicas, that's what they were. They were a fiberglass bodied Model A replica car with basically a 4-cylinder Ford engine in them. I've dealt with a few of them over the years. So they were kind of a neat little car, but they were not, a super desirable car. They're still not a super desirable car. Obviously, we know the entire Model A market is weak, and I'm sure it's drastically affecting these because they were made in the late 70s. So Corey said he'd never heard of those either. So you can look them up, Shea replica. I'm sure that's what these cars were because I do believe that Model A, Model T Motor Company is where the Shea replicas came from. Glenn's on with us. Glad you finally made it, Glenn. Even though you're a little late, that's okay. Number one says the 4-cylinder X bodies couldn't get out of their own way, and the V6 was too heavy for the front suspension and too tough on the automatic. So, well, I guess that would definitely clarify the success rate of the Phoenix and Citation that we are all familiar with. So, thanks number one, because obviously that makes sense if they were bringing out the V6 to kind of help save it, and then it was too much for the car. So, Classic Ride Society said he saw the 77 white Le Mans I did a video on in small town Oklahoma. It's way to the swap meet. That's cool. Yep, that's my buddy's place down in Oklahoma. He does buy and sell a few cars here and there. When we did those videos, be sure to check those out. He is a Ford expert. He's a Ford guru. That's his domain. But he does occasionally pick up a few other things here and there as well. So we did some video while we were down there. Gail says, are you number 6 of them running around Des Moines about 20 years ago, but he hasn't seen any in a while. And I haven't seen the Shea replica in a long time either. It's probably been 15 or 20 years since I've seen a Shea replica. Big Job's on. Glad Big Job made it. Um, Actually, when I ran a Ford dealership for a couple years, and they actually had some Shea replicas that were still in stock. I think they still had 2 of them left that we ended up selling off. So I got a little bit familiar with them, but not extremely familiar with them. But it was neat to see it there again at that time, looking back with hindsight. But that's when they were coming out, and it was a new car for the time being. What else we got in this month's issue of Motor Trend from February of 1979? Let's flip forward a few pages and then let's get to our feature article for this issue and for tonight. The 1979 Car of the Year nominees. Neat article. And we'll go through what they had for that year. Number 1 says, you can tell how crappy a car is when they can't be seen on the roads or car shows, but the barns of Saskatchewan and Manitoba are full of them because Canadians keep everything. So didn't know that, but that's interesting. But the Car of the Year nominees for 1979, based on the parameters set by Motor Trend, the Ford Mustang says it's an obvious choice. Obviously, it was the first year of the Fox body. The Capri, obviously a Mustang clone, the Mercury version of the Mustang. The Ford LTD, and it says it was chosen because it represented a somewhat risky departure from the mushy LTDs it replaced. That's when the LTD went to a smaller car. The Buick Riviera, obviously, in 79, that entire platform changed. The Eldorado, the Tornado, and the Riviera went to a completely new platform that were really neat cars. As well as another choice. Then the other 2 are on the list here as well. The Oldsmobile Tornado and the Cadillac Eldorado, they all made the field. They were all state of the art for the time being. Some cars that you don't see very often today as well. And they were built from 79 to 85. They were a very classy car. I really liked them. I've always been a fan of them. You don't see good ones anymore. They're getting tough to find. And I think, it would be one of those deals. If you wanted one, for me, it would be a buy and hold one because they're not too high yet, but they are starting to tick up. So all 3 of those cars made the list, as well as the Dodge St. Regis, another car we don't hardly hear ever anything about. And once again, it was similar to the Ford LTD. It was nominated because it reverses the trend toward bigness, went to a smaller, more nimble platform, just like the Ford LTD, and the same reason the Ford was nominated, as well as the Buick Turbo Century, which was kind of a unique car. Obviously, they made a Turbo Regal, they made a Turbo LeSabre, and they made a Turbo Century, which was kind of the more rounded hatchback GM design, something you very, very seldom see anymore. Basically, never see one. I haven't seen one in years. They had a rear specific rear spoiler to them. Kind of neat. I've actually got a hatch off one that still has the rear spoiler on it. So let's see. William, you must have a lot of Yugos up there. Must be with number 1. Number old school Dodge St. Regis, never seen it before. There again, another car we don't hear hardly anything about. Quint's on with us. Glad you made it, Quint. Let's get into some of the testing for the Motor Trend Car of the Year in 1979. It does give us some cool charts. We're going to look at some of this stuff. I'm going to show you the pictures, and then I'll read some of the information to you. Pictures of the vehicles, pictures of the performance charts, things like that, as to what they use to narrow this thing down to the 1979 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Braking distance from 60 mile an hour, braking distance from 30 mile per hour, slalom time in seconds, miles per gallon, performance evaluation, how fast it took you to get to a certain speed, quarter mile times, gives us all this stuff on these charts in here. So there's a lot of information here, and it's really cool to see. And obviously, no way we can go through all of this because there's so much of it. We flip to the next page of more charts. And on this page, it's giving us a lot of other stuff of passenger comfort and convenience, ride and drive, quality, styling and design, and dollar value. Then it goes through all of the personal preferences of all of the testers and evaluates everything. And they have an entire point system for all these different things we looked at on all these different charts. that all leads up to the 1979 Car of the Year for Motor Trend. The 1979 Buick Riviera was the winner that year. You can see the styling. It's a great profile shot of that car. You know, like I said, that just came out that year for the Riviera, the Tornado, and the Eldorado. And they were neat cars. I've always liked them. I still like them. You know, I think they're definitely a buy and hold right now because they are starting to tick up and they are getting hard to find. But like I said, it was the car of the year in 79. I don't think they did it in 79, but they also made turbo Rivieras in the early 80s. They also made diesel Rivieras. So they kind of ran the gamut with that deal, with that platform in that time frame to, I guess, get the most out of it. And it goes to talk about it a little bit. They actually had a sweepstakes where they give one away, shows the Car of the Year trophy, shows how you can enter to win a new 79 Riviera as part of the Car of the Year promotion. Ellen, North Carolina, to this day, dislike the straight up back windows that they used. And I mean, I can see your point, but I think what I liked about it was the formality of that it gave the roof line on those cars. Obviously, the Tornado, the Riviera, and the Eldorado, they were, you know, Cadillac, Buick, Oldsmobile, the top three pecking order of GM, and the formal roof line I thought kind of, you know, made them stand out. So I guess that would be my argument for that. But like I said, that's just personal preference. I've just always thought the cars were neat and always thought that they, you know, they've always been overshadowed and overlooked. And by the mid 80s, they actually made convertibles in them. So there are some convertible ones out there from, you know, the 83, 84, 85 eras. So something to look at. If you like those cars, maybe it's time to probably possibly look at adding one to your collection because they are still fairly reasonable on price. And you can still pick up a decent deal on one if you're out there looking. But I don't think that's going to be a long-term deal. I think those cars are starting to tick up and will continue to tick up. The next car we're going to look at in this issue of Motor Trend, and this one was, I actually had to do a double take when I saw this one. So, yeah, Camper Dan, they had nice floor space in them. That's true. They were front wheel drive. They had a big flat floor in them, so they did have a lot of floor space, a lot of leg room. This one I kind of had to do a double take. A lot of us are familiar with the late 70s Mark Lincolns, of the Premier Editions, different color schemes, different, you know, the collector series. I can't even remember them all. They had a laundry list of special editions on the late 70s Lincoln Marks. Yeah, that's right. Big job, like a notch top 65 Mustang. You had to like them. That's true. But Cadillac tried to get into the game with these special edition designer models and I didn't even know about this car. This car I've never heard of, never seen. Maybe they never really made them. Maybe they never made them into production. But obviously, we're starting the era of downsizing. Cadillac downsized with their Seville. Smaller car, you know, trying to be more fuel efficient, more nimble. And they went with a designer series in it. And like I said, I don't know if they ever made these or not. And almost kind of hoping it was not. But let's take a look at the Gucci Seville. Yes, Cadillac made a Gucci edition Seville. And I don't know how well you guys can see it. I'll try to kind of zoom it in here. Some sort of a Gucci edition top and interior. If you can get a good look in there where it had some interesting patterns, I guess. It even had a Gucci type hood ornament on it. So never seen one. Don't know much about them. Maybe they didn't make them. A lot of times when we see stuff in these magazines, you know, that's what we're talking about. That's right. Number one, Pierre Cardin, Bill Blast, Tiffany. Yeah, those were some of those Lincolns we were talking about. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Kevin was a fan of the Riviera, and it, you know, very classy. And that's what I liked about those roof lines, even though it was a straight up and down back window and did kind of look chopped off. I thought I did like that because it gave it a kind of a formal looking roof line. So if anybody knows anything about the Gucci Seville or has seen one, you know, let me know. I'd be real curious because that one I almost didn't realize that it was an actual article about a car because I had never seen one or heard of one. So the Gucci Seville, something to think about, something to keep in mind, just in case you ever want to run across one. Let's flip back a few more pages and see what else we've got going on. Another article that gave us just a basic road test and some basic specs on it. The 1979 Ford LTD Country Squire, Ford's classy hauler, is flawed but favored. Obviously, station wagon still a big deal in the late 70s. Obviously, this era of the Ford LTD station wagon would be turned into an icon a few years later with the Chevy Chase movie Vacation, after they built the family truckster out of a Ford similar to this. But it's a really cool, and I've got a few of these in the yard, a few of these big Ford LTDs. Obviously, I love wagons. Wagons are cool. These are not my favorite ones, but they're still wagons. But it's cool to see a original road test on them from back in the day when they were new and see what they said about them. And this was just a basic breakdown. It gave general information, the vehicle type, base price, basic engine information. It had a 351 in it with a 2-barrel, all basic 3-speed, still had a 3-speed automatic transmission in 79. So, but there again, kind of neat. Like I said, it's cool that we've got, looking back and say, a couple years later, that car, how iconic that car became after it was modified for the movie Vacation. Scott, I saw one on display in the mall and in the front of a high-end store. So I assume that was probably an old Gucci Cadillac back in the day. So apparently they did make some of them. Scott did remember seeing one at some point. So maybe there's a few out there. Let's see what else we got popping up. Dan's a fan of the 85 Rivs. Number one says his dad had one for a few months in 81. And he still hates it. I don't remember which car that is. And that's part of the problem. We kind of get moving through here. And sometimes these pop up a little bit late. Camper Dan said he had one for a family car. That was probably the Ford LTD wagon, I'm guessing. Like I said, the LTD wagons of that era, the movie I made them icons. And like I said, maybe not for good reasons, but they're still iconic. But it was cool to see it pop up in the magazine with some of the information as a new car. Let's see, a couple more cars we're going to talk about yet in this issue before we get to the ads, because this issue had a ton of great ads in them, and a lot of times the car of the year ad, the car of the year issues typically do have a lot of good ads in them. I don't know if it's because people are specifically looking for cars and they're really trying to bait them into anything, but still, like I said, we got a lot of cool ads to look at. But a couple more cars we're going to discuss. Another car that is often forgotten about, yet is starting to see a little bit of resurgence. I'm starting to get calls for these. I'm starting to get calls for parts for these. The AMC Spirit. Something borrowed, something blue, something old, and hardly anything new in the new 1979 AMC Spirit. Kind of an interesting little hatchback design, something that we don't hardly ever see anymore. So it definitely stood out as I was going through this issue of Motor Trend. We'll flip the page. We're going to get into a little more detail on it. We've got a few more pictures as well as some specifications on the AMC. And like I said, some good interior shots, shows how roomy it is. We've got some specifications, some different shots from around the vehicle, gives you a little better idea of what we're looking at. Some of the specifications on the AMC Spirit for 1979. 258 6-cylinder, 2-barrel carburetor, 3-speed automatic, just about as basic as it gets at that point. Test results, this shocks probably no one with a 258 6-cylinder. It blew through the quarter mile in 18.9 seconds at 73 miles an hour. But it did get 17 miles per gallon in the city, 22 on the highway. So for that era, it did do that. It was good basic transportation. And that's kind of what they were designed for, and that's kind of what they did. However, they were not earth-shattering. They did not have awesome designs, and they kind of got overlooked and forgotten about. However, in today's world, the stuff that never got saved is tough, and it's unique, and it's different, and people are starting to drift back towards some of it. Number one says a lot of hockey families bought those for a car to get to all the arenas during the Canadian winter. And you can still hear the muffler putts. Yeah. Big Job says there were a ton of those in Wisconsin, and he does still see some in Kenosha tooling around. Obviously, Kenosha, the home of AMC. So that's what I love. And that's why I love doing these 70s magazines. I know we've got to mix them up a little bit for everybody to get some 50s and 60s and stuff in there, but love the 70s magazines because it's so much different stuff that we don't even think about anymore. One more car we're going to talk about, and this article kind of caught me off guard because I didn't realize this car was actually built. Seen pictures of it, but I didn't know the car was actually built. And they built two of them. Trek in the Type K. The Type K. What's the Type K? Well, if we look at the front of this car, it looks pretty obvious. It's Trans Am. The Type K was the station wagon version, custom built by Pininfarina in the late 70s. And it was kind of a different article. Obviously, we've been looking at a lot of these articles, and we've got road tests and data and specifications and things like that. This article, and I had to read the whole thing to kind of get it in. Number one, did you know AMC built a utility coupe, basically like an El Camino, called the Jeep Cowboy? That I've not seen any pictures of either. So something else to kind of keep your eyes peeled for, to see if we can find something out about that. But Trek in the Type K was, this author had the opportunity to drive this car from Detroit to the West Coast for a show for GM. Big Job says, fam. Yep, that's about right. It said that they did build two of these cars. I believe they were Pininfarina bodied, and this car needed to get to the West Coast. So they give this journalist the opportunity to just hop in it, leave Detroit, drive cross country, and get it to California. So it was kind of cool. And like I said, I actually read the article just to kind of take it in because there was no data, no road test specs, nothing like that. But it was literally about the experience of driving this prototype from Detroit to California. And obviously, since it was basically a production Trans Am that was sent over to be rebodied, it was essentially a new car. Everything underneath it was basic new Pontiac. So it wasn't like driving something that was completely experimental across the road. The car across the country, the car itself was essentially a stock Trans Am. So it was very interesting. I read the whole article about the amount of attention it generated in every place he stopped. Even it said in Vegas, it generated a ton of attention. And it said he dropped down from Detroit to Indianapolis, over to St. Louis, across to Kansas City, out to Colorado, over to Vegas, and then out to LA. And it was kind of neat, to read the article and talk about where he explained and discussed all of the feedback he got, things like that. Dan says there was a Cadillac like that in Defiance in Ohio that had been turned into a wagon like that. One thing that was interesting about this article as I read through it, though, was when he was talking to the engineer before they left with the car, they had the car on display at a race. And somebody walked up and said he had to have the car and he wanted to buy it, wanted to know if it could be bought. I said, no, it's a pre-production model. It's not, technically for sale. It's a design study, essentially. And the guy says he had just sold his 427 Cobra for $40,000, and he had money to spend, and he wanted to buy that car. So he offered them the entire $40,000 that he got for his 427 Cobra for it. Which of course the car couldn't be bought because it was a prototype. I tried to do a little bit of research on this deal, but like I said, this weekend's been kind of tight on time. To see if these two cars do still exist, and I was not able to confirm that, whether they do exist or not. But I did see one thing when I was doing a little bit of research, that it said that based on the design study, they would have been $25,000 a piece to put them into production. And obviously that was, several times what a new car cost back at that time. So the project was never, followed through on. So that's right, David, the Camback TA2. So Jeff had a comment that we missed, talking about the Cadillacs, the Cimarron. Yep, I definitely remember the Cimarron, the Cavalier Cadillac. So the Cadillac based on a Cavalier. I do remember that. I apologize, I missed that comment a minute ago. So, but that's about it for articles. How about we get into some ads real quick? And that's right, number one, there was a Corvette Camback kit. I do kind of remember that. Let's check out some ads. Love checking out the ads, and we'll go through some of these real quick, and then we're going to do some trivia, and we're going to talk about the raffle and some inventory and some videos. So we'll keep moving here and talk about some of the ads. Inside cover I thought was great, even though it's not technically a car ad. The first inside, the big color ad on the inside of the cover are for Panasonic thruster speakers. So I thought that was pretty cool. Great ad. Shows the sound waves coming stuff. It was so cool. I had to look at it. I had to show. Do I have any 67 Polaris? I do not have any 67 Polaris at all right now. Classic Ride Society. Good friends Jill and Doug praying on with us. Glad you guys made it tonight. Glenn said his dad had a 70 Fairlane wagon with a 390 in it. That would have been kind of a cool car to have today. What else do we have for ads? Let's get rolling on some ads since we're through the Panasonic speakers, which is so cool. Another interesting ad that I thought was different because it was so plain. On the continuing evolution of a new breed of cars, which was a GM ad. And that was it. That was the ad. No cars, no color, no nothing. And it talked about all the design changes and the design evolution at GM in the late 70s. In 1977, GM introduced a new family of trimmer full-size. For 78, they brought out new mid-size models, which we now know as the G-body platform. And this year, GM introduces the 79 Eldorado, Riviera, and Tornado in a trimmer, all new size. So I thought that was very interesting for GM. And GM's got a ton of ads in this issue we're going to look at, but very plain, almost trying to catch your eye by not being flashy on that ad. No, number one, we did not have any Brute, Old Spice, or High Karate ads in this issue, but we'll have to keep an eye out for some of those as well. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, this is an ad from a 70s magazine. What do we always have in the 70s magazines for ads? The iconic Wild Turkey ad, because it was in every magazine in the 70s. And I know this is a liquor ad, but every single time we've looked at any magazine from the 70s, it's there. It's so we've got to catch it just because we catch it every time. I remember that ad from when I was a little kid because that picture of that turkey just stuck out, and it was everywhere at that time. Flip forward a couple more pages, and this is something else that I kind of vaguely remember, something kind of different for car stereos, the Crutchfield ad. I bet some of you guys remember the Crutchfield car stereo company where you could mail order stuff from them for aftermarket stereos equipment. Another GM ad that I found, and like I said, I think their ad agency was trying some different things. And I don't know if they were just throwing stuff at the wall and see what would stick, but this ad says Clothes Encounters. I had to kind of look at this for a second because I didn't really sure where it was going, but it is a GM ad for the tilt steering column. And obviously, a tilt column today is pretty much normal in anything and everything. Back then, they were just getting to be popular. They started to become fairly normal in the 60s, but even by the 70s, not everything had them. So they're, again, a very plain ad, no cars in it and no color in it. So it's almost like their ad agency was trying some different things, throwing some stuff at the wall, seeing what would stick and seeing what they could get a response out of. Like number one says, run out of gas, get home on a bottle of Wild Turkey. Old School says he has linear power car amplifiers from the early 80s. So yeah, and that was a big deal. That was a big deal as that car stereo stuff started becoming of age. It was huge, still is huge. And actually, Big Job says is that when the Beer Belly was popular, actually the way they were marketing the tilt steering column, Clothes Encounters, it says when you're all bundled up for winter and you're wearing your coat, you might need to tilt the steering wheel up. So they were trying to be very consumer friendly, I guess, is a way to put it. I guess that would be the best way to put it. They were trying to be consumer friendly, and they were talking about driving when you're bundled up in big bulky clothes is when the tilt steering column would really come into play and be handy. So it's kind of funny how they put it. It's funny that you commented on that, but that's literally how they put it. That's why it is entitled Clothes Encounters. And it literally talks about down in the text of having to drive, getting in your car when you're all bundled up in your big coat and it's all winter and you can't quite get in, so you need to raise the steering wheel. So that's where they were going with it. What else have we got coming up? What other kind of cool ads do we have? Getting into some neat color ads. Harley Davidson has a great color ad with and this is the AMF days of Harley, with a Sportster and a Corvette in the background in in a similar type color scheme with similar type wheels. Really made it stand out. See, number one says, where was the mag sold? An ad wouldn't run in the South or in California. Well, I think they probably ran it anywhere, but that's why they just kind of left it generically consumer friendly. But cool color ad with the Harley and the Corvette back in the AMF days of Harley Davidson. Another ad that kind of stood out that is still actually could almost be today, with the exception of one small thing in the corner. Obviously, Napa is still out there. We see the Napa ad. We can see the Napa gold and blue logo, just like they still have today. Same color, very similar logo. What really stood out about this ad to me, and we got to look down in the corner, was right here. If you can see it or not, it's kind of tough probably for you. Let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages to find your local Napa. So when I saw that, I thought that kind of stood out to me, that the little yellow pages walking finger thing, hadn't seen that in forever. It says check your local yellow pages. So I thought that was kind of neat, a neat addition to that ad. Big Job says this kid actually does photography for Harley. That'd be kind of an interesting job. Next ad we're going to check out is a great ad. And obviously, being car of the year, they got a great ad for it. Motor Trend magazine calls the Buick Riviera S the car of the year. We think you'll come to the same conclusion. Beautiful full color ad. Definitely highlighting the Riviera with some very unique lighting. One thing that I really like about this ad, as far as my personal preference, and it's kind of small down here, if I can point it out to you, I love, let's see if we can keep this thing from falling on us. I love this era of Buick stuff with the hawk on it. I mean, when I was growing up, obviously I grew up on Buick, so we've talked about that before with my dad. But the Buick Hawk logo stuff from the late 70s, early 80s, I remember that stuff so distinctly from when I was a kid. I love that stuff. I'll try to grab any of it I can find for my collection. And just that, there again, it's a window in time I remember as a kid when my dad worked at the Buick dealership, and I grew up on Buick. So when you see those things, so just seeing that there, that one little blurb in this magazine article, boom, takes me back, and I love it. William says AMF Harleys were done in York, and I believe that's where William's at's in York, PA. So great ad for the Riviera. A couple more we're going to catch. Another GM ad, a couple more GM ads actually coming up. This one was for the GM sound systems, factory GM sound systems. It shows all the different ones, the cassette, the actual big, and it shows the beginning of some of the digital GM stereos, which obviously were state of the art at the time. And really, there again, they were competing with the car stereo ads right in here. Even the same type of ad, not a full page, but just like the Crutchfield ad, one column on one side, and just trying to get you to order your stereo factory new when you order your GM vehicle. Next ad, number one, Buick Skyhawk, the J-body sister to the Cimarron. That's right. And there again, those cars are getting tougher to find. This next ad is great. Great color. Even got a little racing action in behind it for the 1979 Camaro Z28. Great ad, great colors. The yellow is probably not my favorite color on those cars. I actually do want one of these. I don't have one, but I do want one. I'd love a blue one to go with my Marty Blue Trans Am. But we've got all these racing action back here. I believe these were probably the IROC cars, I'm guessing, of the day. Great ad, great color, great content. Did a great job on that one. So it looks cool on that. Really excited about it. And a couple more ads we're going to catch. Let's see. Oh, another great ad coming up here for the Ford fans. Obviously, in '79, the Fox body came out. What this big 2-page ad, though, is about is something a little different and definitely a little state of the art for the time. The 1979 Ford Mustang Turbo. Big, full 2-page color ad. Actually has a breakdown of the turbo engine, different colors showing the airflow on how the turbo worked, action shots in the slalom course, even action shots here, cutaways. Great ad, lots of color. Like I said, a lot of the manufacturers really seem like they went all out in this issue. Maybe it's because it was the car of the year issue and everybody was trying to, kind of jump on that bandwagon. But really kind of cool the way they had so many great ads in them. One more ad we're going to catch, and then we're going to get rolling on here. And this is another great full color ad from GM for the Pontiac Grand Prix. You'll find something new to love every time you drive it. Good looking car. I've actually got one of these in the yard that is pretty much an identical to this car. Same two-tone green, same bucket seat cloth interior. So there again, these G bodies are getting super popular, and this was really highlighting the uniqueness of the Grand Prix over the other models and trying to show off some of the lines and some of the features of the Grand Prix. But great full color ad. And obviously the two-tone green does make it stand out a little bit over some of the other stuff. So that's it for the February 1979 issue of Motor Trend, as they named the Riviera the car of the year for '79. Hope you guys like that one. Like I said, if there's some stuff we want to see or want to do, throw it out there. If there's something I've got, a magazine on or some era, we'll sure try to squeeze it in. Ellen, North Carolina, wasn't the Mustang the Indy Pace car in 1979? Yes, I do believe it was the Indy Pace car for '79. That's right. Corey says the Grand Prix used to be way bigger than that. Yeah, the Grand Prix was a full-size car starting in '62, based on the Catalina, based strictly on a full-size car. And then in '79 they went to more of the A-body style platform. But from '62 to '68, the Grand Prix was completely based on a full-size car. Yeah, so guys will want that Grand Prix ad from you. Well, I can sell them the whole car too. I've sold a few pieces off of it, but I've still got the whole car. It looks literally almost identical to it. Number one, the valve cover. Back on the valve cover, we hit the valve cover real early tonight because we had a few comments right out of the gate. We'll catch it again real quick before we get into trivia. But that is a Mercury Turnpike Cruiser valve cover. This is cast. I believe it's cast aluminum. Turnpike Cruiser has some engine type machining back here on all this stuff. Actually cast into it. Great valve cover. I love it. I've had it for a long time. It's one I've really been wanting to show you guys. Just there's not a good way to mount it because it screwed on the engine through these two big holes here. So, and I obviously didn't want to poke a hole in it to screw it up. So I've got it sitting on a couple screws with a screw in the top of it. And hopefully it's going to hold up there and not fall down before we get done tonight. So anyway, that's what that valve cover is. Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. Great piece. Love it. Was super excited when I got to add that to my collection since I love valve covers so much. So number one, roll down rear windows on Turnpike Cruisers. I believe they did, but I'm not sure because those were typically 60s era. So I'm not sure if those 57, 58 Turnpike Cruisers had it or not. I know by the early 60s, Mercury did have the roll down rear back windows. Corey, any first and second generation Monte Carlos? I do not have any of the first generation Monte Carlos. The 73 to 77s, I've got a couple of those, but none of the 70 to 72s at all. Trivia tonight. Trivia, we're going to give away another mobile gloss can. We've done a few of these in the past. I found a couple more. This has a little fading on it, but overall still has pretty decent color. The red is primarily faded. The blue still looks good. It is a pint, mobile gloss pint can, square can, still has the lid on it. Back has instructions still all pretty much legible on the back. So we have not gotten any comments on Facebook for a while. I hope it is still working. If you are commenting on Facebook, I am not seeing it. It's been several minutes since anything has popped up on Facebook. YouTube is still feeding pretty steadily. So Tonight, for the Mobile Gloss can. On Toy Tuesday this week, we looked at some oil cans on there as well. One of them was a household lubricant. What brand was the household lubricant can from Toy Tuesday last week? As I keep an eye out for the comments on that, yep, Gail, we are working. Gail threw up a test hit, and we're good. So Facebook is still working. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Scott says we're still there. Great. Perfect. Still going. So, all right. All of you guys are still there. Awesome. I just get worried when I don't see anything pop up for a few minutes, and that's great. If you guys don't have anything to say, I'm just glad you're here. I'm just happy that you guys are still here and hanging out. That's great. I hate it when the system messes up and you guys are trying to play along. So, household lubricant can, what company was it? Nope, that's not it, old school. I'll keep an eye on both formats now, so we know they are both working see who's going to be the winner of the Mobile Gloss can on trivia. Glenn says Facebook's actually working great tonight, so that's awesome. Jeff says we're still there. Great. Raffle this month, like we talked about, we are going to give away this super cool Hupmobile grill shell. Old school got it. It was Standard Oil Company. That is correct. So Old School's our winner tonight. And I'll have to double check and see if I've still got your email from a few weeks ago. But let's see. Gail gets 3-1. No, that was it. It was Standard. So we've got that. A couple more comments. Kevin, I'm reading you through the grill shell. No 79 Monte Carlos, though there was not any 79 Monte Carlos in that magazine. So not that one. So the Hupmobile grill shell right here, this month's raffle piece, great for multiple uses, hanging on the wall, use it for a rat rod, put a mirror in it, hang it in your bathroom. It's got a little bit of depth to it. You can actually put shelving in it. You can put toys or, oil cans in them. Lots of uses. The badge has a few chips in it, as you can see, if you guys can see it very clearly there. But it is original blue and white enamel badge. One little hickey down there on the bottom, but pretty minimal. This thing was just found in a grain bin out in western Kansas recently. So cool piece. Still got the spout on the top, if we can see that or not. I don't know how you can get close to the camera. We'll show it this way. So like I said, lots of opportunities for this cool piece. Can't wait to ship this out to somebody. Like we talked about, if you are a non-U.S. player and you want to play, that's great, except I don't have a good way to ship it. If you've got a way to assist with shipping, by all means, I don't want to, alienate anybody. I just don't have a good way to ship that. Now, we're going to give something else away to somebody else after that fact for the second one, and we're going to give away a license plate this year, or this month. These little license plates, these were for pickups. And this is brand new. It is original from the late 40s, early 50s. So the second name is going to get this too, is going to get this. I'll fire it out to them. Brand new, never been used. If you've got an old pickup, these are great. These mounted on top of your original tag to show your weight rating. Cool piece. Like I said, new old stock, never been on a truck. So we'll send that out to the second name that we pull out of the can after we do the Hupmobile grill shell, which is going to be on September the 4th is when we're going to do that. Since the end of the month is right smack dab in the middle of the week, we're going to do that on September the 4th. Let's see. William, any clue when you might get any first-gen Camaro? I don't have anything right now. I don't have anything in the works. We do have one at the auction, October 2nd, F&E Classic, FE Collector Auto Auction that I own with my partners. We have a really sharp Hugger Orange 69 white rally stripes, RS with SS trim added, 396 automatic. Be sure, if you're curious about that, FEClassicCarAuction.com, you can go check that out. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, there's one of that is coming up on that auction, but I don't have any leads on anything right now. For the raffle, this is who is in. Jason Withrow, I got yours. Bill Wagaman is in. Alfred is in. Lee Carr is in. And James Erickson is in. That's who I have in now. Anybody else, if you want to get in, the information is on the text part of these posts for these videos. You can send me a check or money order. You can also use PayPal, whatever works better for you. The PayPal address is in the text for these videos, as well as my mailing information. Just make sure you put on there that it is for the raffle, and possibly some contact info in case you're not on that night when we do give this away on September the 4th. So keep that in mind on that as well. James is back with us. Glad you made it. William's looking for parts for his. Okay, no problem there. Yeah, I think the only thing I've got left for a first-gen Camaro is a back seat out of a coupe. I think it's literally about the only thing I've got left for a first-generation Camaro right now. But something else I want to mention and I want to bring up on trivia. I think I'm going to change it up a little bit, not much, just to make it a little more fair for everybody. If you won 1 week, I'm going to ask you to not play the next week, just to kind of square it up for everybody, because we've had doesn't happen very often, but here over the last few months, we've had a couple instances where we get back-to-back winners. And just to make it more fair for everybody, I'm just going to ask if it's okay, if it's cool to just sit out the next week. I'll get you your can, and I still love everybody playing. I just want to kind of keep it fair for everybody else. So that's something I've been thinking about for about a month, trying to decide, do I want to do it? Do I not want to do it? But I want to try to keep it fair for everybody. So I hope you all understand. But I would ask you guys to kind of, if you win one, back off the next week so that, with somebody else has a chance to win. And then the second week after that, by all means, I'd love to have you back in. I just want to kind of square it up a little bit and make it more fair for everybody. So I'm asking for your guys' help in that if you win 1 week, to give somebody else a chance the next week. And then 2 weeks after that, by all means, love to have you back in. So Nick's on with us a little bit late, but glad he made it. And super excited for him to get his Camaro shipped out to him. We've got his Camaro sitting here ready to head his way here shortly. So glad you made it tonight, even though you're a little late, Nick. So anyway, what else is going on? The raffle's coming up. Be sure to get your chances for the raffle. So somebody's going to win that Hotmobile grill shell, and the second name is going to get a brand new half-ton weight rating tag for an old pickup. This is, like I said, 40s, 50s era. So that's what we're giving away this month. Be sure to jump in on that. What else has been going on? It's been kind of a crazy week, especially at the end of this week. I got kind of squared up, had a bunch of parts shipped first part of the week, and then got tied up with all this races and stuff at the end of the week. So I did not haul any cars this week, so I didn't pick up anything cool or exciting. Big job. Do I still have the T-Series Ford? I'm not sure what the T-Series. I'm not sure where we're at with that. T's right now. I don't know if that's where we're at or if this is something else. So, see, Glenn's on with us still. Glad you made it, Glenn. I know you're with us regularly, and I'm glad you enjoy it. So, William, any 3/4 ton plates? Actually, I don't think I've got 3/4 ton. I've got half, 1.5, and 2.5. And in fact, whoever wins, if you want a 1.5, I'll send you a 1.5 instead of the half. But I don't think I've got any 3/4 tons. I'll have to check. I've got a couple of different styles. The bigger Ford, like the big red truck, that is still here. Yeah, the big red, like the F800. If it's a big job or a Super Duty, whatever it was. But yeah, it's still here. Haven't done anything with it yet. But I've got this in half, 1.5, and 2.5. The winner will get their choice. I got one. Yeah, here's a 1.5 ton right here. There's a 1.5 ton new old stock. So I'll send you whichever one you want, but I don't think I've got a 3/4 ton. I've also got some of these that are white with black letterings and some things like that. So, yeah, Jeff, I do have these in 2.5 as well, but I don't have one in my office. I've got some on the shelf. So I'll give the winner whichever size they prefer. Old school, do I buy vintage equipment or construction equipment? Not really. Don't know anything about it. Don't have any way to haul it. Don't have any way to handle it. Kind of stay away from big equipment like that. Yeah, they are cool. They're a great addition to any old pickup. to just kind of put that on there with your regular license plate. So, but I didn't pick up any cars this week. However, we did list some more stuff for the F&E Collector Auto Auction coming up on October 2nd. Sure hope to see some of you out here for that. I know Nate's going to be here because he's got a car consigned to us. But added a couple of interesting things to that. I'm not a motorcycle guy, but we listed a very, very cool motorcycle. 1996 Honda Goldwing with 3,389 miles, completely original. It was parked decades ago, drained all the fluids out of it when they parked it, and it's basically just been completely preserved. Original books, original letter from the dealership, original toolkit. Like I said, it's not my cup of tea, but man, this thing is so cool. It is such a neat bike. If that's your thing, man, this is a cherry bike. So it's going to be kind of interesting. I don't know a lot about them. I know that there is some demand for that stuff. There again, just like all this other 70s stuff, it's getting super hard to find, and I'm excited about it. So it's going to be a neat consignment. Nate says he'll definitely be here, and he said that the SRCA had a good show this weekend too, and they did. It was a great time. But so that's up now. Here's something else that's a little bit different that you don't think about, that you don't see hardly any of anymore. 1992 Ford Flare Side, the step side Ford pickups they made in that era, super slick pickup, and and I remember from back in the day, but you just don't see those things anymore. So that's something to check out. I listed a beautiful 19. These pictures are not up yet, so they won't be up tonight. They should be up tomorrow or by Tuesday. 1956 Chevy Bel Air two-door hardtop. Beautiful car, black and kind of a light yellow, factory two-tone colors, 50,000 miles. 265 four-barrel, Wonder Bar radio, accessory bumper guards, factory spotlight. Beautiful car, good fit and finish. Slicko car is going to be nice for somebody. So that one, those pictures should be up. The 1937 Ford pickup we've talked about a little bit. If you haven't heard about that or have not seen it on the website, the 1937 Ford half-ton pickup did make it out of the garage. They did get it dug out. We rolled it outside. It's still dusty, but I got some great pictures of it. We did some awesome video on it, and it's going to be a really neat consignment. One family owned, never been for sale since July of 1937. The reason I know it was July of 1937 because they still have the original title. Now, the original title is irrelevant because it was done on engine number. They have retitled the truck. It does have a new current Kansas title with a good current Kansas VIN on it. So that is based off the VIN number on the frame rail. So there won't be any issues with it, but it still has the original title from 1937. We'll get those pictures added this week as well, plus the video on that. And in the video, the original owner's daughter, who still owns the truck, actually told us about the truck. She was born a couple of weeks after he bought the truck. So it's literally been part of her life forever. And she's decided she's never going to get anything done with it. It's time to go down the road. And it was a little bit tough to get through the video, but it was okay. She did a good job. But she shared her story about the entire history of that pickup in that video. So that's a cool video too. You guys definitely want to check that out. It'll be on the on the F&E Collector Auto Auction Facebook page and YouTube channel here shortly. Within the next few days. So keep an eye out for that. And those pictures will be uploaded to that truck outside where you can actually kind of see what we've got going on there. Let's see what else we got coming up. 87 Regal quarter glasses. You have to give me a shout on that, Ronald. I can get you on my list and check it when I get time. So yeah, there's some cool stuff coming up for the auction. Corey says, if be wasting my time if you call me to still window shopping. That's fine. When you get it kind of narrowed down, you can always give me a shout then. Do I have an auto shipper that I use? At this point, no, I do not. I have a lady who I've worked with extensively for probably 10 or 12 years. I've sent everybody to her for probably 12, maybe 14 years as how long I've used her. She has a few small health issues right now. She called me about 2 weeks ago and she said, I'm taking a couple months off. But she said, I will be back in the loop here within a couple months. So I don't right at this second. Here within a month or two, I will probably be able to use her again. She runs some of her own trucks as well as brokers. But I've used her exclusively because of what she provides to people. There's some people that don't use her. I'll give you her number. You can call her, check and see if it'll work for you. Some people don't use her because it's a little bit higher. She does have a brokerage fee, things like that. However, and in fact, we've run into this on Nick's Camaro. She checks the hauler out. She just doesn't give it to whoever pops up. She checks their insurance. She checks their credentials. She makes sure they're a legal hauler, because there's a lot of people out there running around with a 3-car slant and a dually who all of a sudden are a transporter. So she does provide those services. She checks them out. She makes sure they're legitimate, make sure they have insurance before they pick up your car. So right at this exact second, I don't, but hopefully in a month or two, she'll be back. And from what she didn't give me all the details, William says, yeah, prayers for, I don't have all the details, but she said, it's basically fairly simple procedure. Shouldn't be a big deal. She just said they told her to make sure she backs off a little bit. She goes, I'm sure I'll be back at it in less than 2 months, but they told her to make sure to give herself a little time to, to recuperate. So I'm hoping here within the next month or so, she's back at it. I've had good luck with her. And, I know most of the people that have used her have had good luck with her. So hopefully she'll be back up. And maybe by the time you get something nailed down, Corey, as to what direction you want to go, maybe she'll be back up and rolling. So that's who I've used exclusively. There's a million different ways you can do it. I like sending people to her because she does the background work. She does the homework. She does the legwork, and she checks that stuff out before they pick your stuff up. So, no, Nick didn't buy the 77 Camaro. So, yeah. So hopefully she'll be back in the groove here pretty quick and things will be going good. Let's see, Jesse, still need IHS series hood trim and rear fender extensions. Yeah, then that stuff is tough. Those 56 hood inserts are really tough, and I've never seen the extensions for the dually rear fender, so I don't have any idea there. So, but anyway, that's what's going on. Be sure to check out FEClassicCarAuction.com or the F&E Collector Auto Auction YouTube channel and Facebook pages to keep up with posts there. Brad honked at me this morning as he was driving to Honda. Oh, so I didn't even see you go by, Brad. So yeah, I did run out to the yard this morning for a little bit. So, but anyway, that's what's going on this week. Coming up for videos, we're going to throw up another one from the Pioneer Auto Show tomorrow night. Lots of cool stuff in that collection. I know it's a little bit different. It's not just dragging stuff out of a field, but they've got such a great collection. So many cool things there that I hope you guys enjoy some of that stuff as well. Way too much stuff to show you. We got some great clips of bits and pieces of it. I hope you're enjoying. And definitely need to get you some new inventory this week. I've got to get a lot of stuff. I got to get some cars picked up. Jeez, I got to get some cars picked up. So we're definitely going to have some new inventory a little bit later in the week as well. So, and I still got to do some more stuff in the yard. So I'm kind of hoping that we get some more stuff going there. There's, like I said, I could literally walk anywhere in the yard and get you a video. So I'm trying to kind of work some of that stuff back in. We've gotten so focused on trying to get all the new inventory out that I forget about squeezing some of that other stuff in as well. So, oh yeah, there it is, Corey. And I thought I'd missed that, Corey. The F-Body Tour video killed him. He had to kill him. He had to watch it like 3 times. And you got to remember, that's one small short row. I haven't counted in a while, but I bet you I have at least right at 50 F bodies. Second, third, and fourth gen stuff. But yeah, I bet I haven't counted in a long time, but I know I had close to 40 before, and I've bought a lot since then. So I bet I've got, if I don't have 50, I've got pretty close to 50 F bodies between what's sitting there in the row, what's sitting in buildings. Number one, next Sunday wants to do a live yard walk next Sunday. Next Sunday, what is next Sunday going to be? August, what is today? The 22nd. So we're looking at August 29th for a live yard walk. Okay. Let's see what next Sunday brings. Number one, that's a possibility. I do need to do one. I've tried to do one about a month or so ago. The phone overheated on me like in 10 minutes. So that didn't work. Hopefully the weather's going to start getting a little more cooperative. But that might be an idea. We need to do that as well. Let's see. So a couple of things popping up. 64 Chevy fleet side bed. Depends on which one you need on that. Let's see. Yeah. Next Sunday is the last Sunday before football. So number one says, let's start promoting it now. We can sure try to do it. Absolutely. If we can make something happen, I'm all for it. It's been like April since we got a good one in. And like I said, I knew I needed to get it done. Number one says, so share it with his car clubs. That'd be great. We'll tentatively pencil that in and see if we can make something happen. I would like to do one. A lot of stuff has changed since April. And like I said, if the day is calm or is not extremely hot where we think we can get through it with the phone, we'll sure give it a shot. So keep that in mind. I will probably just do it on YouTube because it's very difficult to run two phones and try to keep up with all of it. If I do it on YouTube, I will post it on the Facebook pages. It's tough. And I might be able to, I've got one phone holder that I kind of built out of a broomstick and some screws and some phone holders. We might be able to do them on both, but we'll see what happens. But we'll tentatively put that down for next Sunday. So keep that in mind, guys. Keep an eye out on your computer. We'll see what the weather does. Yeah, no one says use an umbrella to protect it from the phone. That's more stuff to hold too. So, Martin, the blue Ford, I don't have title work on anything. I haven't done any title work since last spring, so have not done anything with that yet either. Dumb Broke Garage says he's in. He could use his help. Well, I could use a lot of help, that's for sure. But like I said, my problem is there's so many issues with hiring employees anymore, and it's so complicated, especially being quote unquote flagged salvage and things like that hiring even one employee is fairly tricky. So, and then of course finding people with the knowledge of the old cars is tough too, because there's so much differences in them, and there's no computer for it. You either know it or you don't. You don't have much of a choice. So let's see. What else we got? Yeah, like I said, dumb to work for beer. That's not a bad plan. So I need a 25th hour in the day. There are days where a 25th hour would come in handy. Trust me. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. Like I said, I feel bad. I just didn't get enough stuff done this weekend. But I do like to try to help with the racetrack and try to help those guys promote that thing. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and it just all takes time. It just takes hours out of the day, and there's just a lot of stuff going on and not enough hours. Now, our old school Ford just let go of a lot of old employees so they can hire cheaper, younger ones. Yep. Dumb Broke says he's okay financially, so he can work for beer. So that's not a bad problem to have either. But we'll tentatively shoot for that, and we'll see if we can squeeze something in next week. If the weather is mild, that's a great plan. I do want to do them. I've always wondered what's the best day and time to do them for you guys. So I guess I'm going to ask you that question now. Are Sundays good? Morning better? Afternoon better? Things like that. I never know when is the best time to do it. That works better for all of you guys. So, I am curious as to what you guys think of, or is it better to do it on a weekday? Is it better to do it, in an evening? I'm real curious as to what your guys' thoughts are on that. So let's see. And that's right. William says, plus, we know how to remove parts without breaking them. So, Big Job says morning on Sundays. Okay. That might be an idea as well. We might try to do that. But there again, we got to be careful about, what time you do it in the morning. Obviously, me being Central Time, if I started at 9, that's 7 California time. Do I start at 10? And then that's 11 Eastern time and 8, California time. So kind of balancing that out, but that might be a good idea. William says Sunday afternoon. So there again, I'm just kind of looking for what everybody likes, trying to put some ideas together to see what's going to work better for everybody. Because I do need to do them on a more regular basis. Like I said, this last time we tried it, the phone just got so hot it just shut itself down. So, like I said, I would be curious to see what some more response is on that. And we'll try to do it next Sunday. If it does not work out, we will definitely get one scheduled in here sooner rather than later. And like I said, keep me posted, what you guys think on what would be the best time to do it. So, Olson says evening is cooler. Yeah, we definitely couldn't do it. If we did it Sunday evening, then we wouldn't have this. So we would have to schedule to skip live chat and go out and do a live walk around, which could be a possibility too coming up. Maybe we do that, and I don't know if we would want to try to do that next weekend and skip the chat and do Sunday evening. But Nate says evening or weekend's best. That way he doesn't get in trouble for being on the phone at work. And I've always wondered if some people watch at work. So that's kind of why I wondered if during the week would be better. And William says probably Sunday morning would be best overall. And that might be, because a lot of people, do kind of unwind a little bit on Sunday morning, maybe read the paper, maybe have people have some minutes to get on and hang out with us for a while. Big job. Just keep doing the thing and they'll follow. So we'll see if we can pencil one in next Sunday. I want to do one. I've been wanting to do one. Things are, I guess calming down for me, which calming down for me means I'm only swamped and not just completely running stupid. So, but it's easier to schedule some of that stuff is, Dunbar Garage says Sunday morning. Old School brings up a good point. Work ethic has taken a hit because of YouTube. I'm not going to argue with that, Old School. I think there's probably an awful lot of truth to that statement. So anyway, we better get ready to wrap up. I got some work to do yet tonight. We've actually gone a little bit long tonight since I kind of patched this thing together this afternoon. Since I wasn't here last night, I thought we were going to be short, and we're actually running a little bit long. But that's great. And that's great because that means you guys are here. You're participating. You're commenting. We're all hanging out together. We're sharing our knowledge. We're having fun. And that's what it's all about. So we had some new names on here tonight. That's great. Appreciate you guys sharing it with your car clubs, telling them about what we've got, invite them to hang out, invite them to the live walk around. And like I said, I will post everywhere if we do it. If it looks like it's going to work, I will post everywhere. I'll make a post on YouTube and I will post on the Facebook pages as well. Hopefully at least an hour ahead of time before we go with it. So keep an eye on that and we'll try to schedule something in. Old School says the internet period has decreased work ethic. And there's some truth to that, I think. So anyway, any other comments? Be sure to throw them up there as we get ready to wrap this thing up. I will keep an eye on comments on both formats for another minute or two as we wind down. Big Job says I'm the new Sunday school instructor. So, hey, that's a great plan because then I can be at church and I can be tax exempt. Good call, Big Job. So, we'll try to squeeze that in. Maybe we'll just call it Sunday school. Maybe we'll call it Sunday school and do that, a couple times a year. So, but we'll see if we can schedule that in. As always, I super appreciate you guys swinging by. I mean, this would be nothing without all of you. See, Nick's got a good point. He works in IT, so he's all good. So Nick's got a good excuse. Dunbrook says he's the best mechanic on earth. He's going to teach that. Corey says till next Sunday. Great. So anyway, like I said, I'll keep an eye on things. A few things popping up here. As always, though, I mean, I appreciate you guys swinging by, hanging out. This is nothing without all of you. Your comments, your participation, the camaraderie is what makes this enjoyable. It's what makes it worth doing for me. It's the sharing of knowledge. The stuff that I don't have answers to. You guys are great on helping finding it. We will. Big Job. The first church of nobody. Got a nice ring to it. I like it. So definitely see you on Toy Tuesday. We'll catch some more stuff in the Pioneer Auto Show tomorrow. We'll get some Toy Tuesday tomorrow or on Tuesday night. A few more cans we picked up in South Dakota, as well as start working in some of the signs that I picked up. 3 new signs added to the collection on that trip. Old School says born again nobody. So we got lots of interesting things. Jeff Litka says, hey, it could be just another version of Cars and Coffee on Sunday mornings. That's another good point as well. So thanks a lot, guys. You're the guys that make this happen. Your participation is what it is. I don't catch all the comments all the time, but I do appreciate what you guys do throw up there. I do appreciate you guys being here. I do appreciate you guys making this what it is and sharing what we're doing with your friends to make this such a great group. So I'm going to sign off. I got some work I got to get done yet tonight. Plus, I need to get some sleep after being at the racetrack till 2:30 this morning. But sounds great. See you guys this week on Toy Tuesday. Some more new inventory videos, and definitely Sunday we'll try to work the lot walk in as well as next Sunday night for live chat. Big Job says Big Job says I need to start baptizing everybody. So let's see. Gasser's off to work in the garage, and I believe he's in New Zealand, I think. So glad you made it tonight. All over the world on with us, and that's what makes this such a great group. So thanks for watching, everybody. We will see you Tuesday night live, Sunday live, and on some other videos this week. Got any questions, give me a call. The number's on the page. Jump in for the raffle, and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching, everybody.